Okay, so welcome back. Now we're going to do the lab. And the first example we're going to do, let me just show you where it is. So when you're following along, you've gone into modules, you've gone into 308 equal time points, and you've opened up this lab ETP, Spring 18 Parker Edits. That was my old name a long time ago, before I got married. So here's our lab. Today, we're going to calculate the ETP between St. Anthony and Dublin along track W, which is what we're on, okay? All right. We're going to plot the ETP on the plotting chart. I'm just going to show you how to do it. Entering the ETP in your computer flight plan, okay? And I'll just kind of give you an overview of all the slides we're going to cover. This is the final, I guess the final frontier is to understand how we got to this point here with this changeover waypoint. ETP between Yea and Dublin is at 211 miles from North 54 West 40, and it's at 144 miles before North 55 West 30. That's the final answer. Now let me show you how we got there. All right. So we take our flight plan, this is our handy flight plan, and we go, all right, so St. Anthony, Yea, is our first point. That's gonna be our divert airfield if we had to turn around and go back. And then, where is it? Dublin, yeah. Dublin. There it is, right there. We're actually stopping our ETP calculation at Dublin. So we're actually taking only half of our flight plan, and we're going to tally up how many miles between the two of them for our total distance. And then we're going to take each set of information. Remember the distance between each leg. We're going to calculate each one's ground speed. We're going to calculate each one's true airspeed. And we're going to end up with a handy formula that we put together to figure out where to plot it.
And we're stopping it there because the rest of the flight plan is over land, which makes it easier to do a diversion, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So it's from St. Anthony, which is where the water starts, to Dublin, where the water ends.
And that's kind of typically how an ETP will work in the airlines, where you obviously you have two good divert fields. You have St. Anthony, which is a great big airport, and you got Dublin, which is a great big airport. But if you actually look at the whole flight plan, it sure looks like we're going, whoops, all the way to some other airfield. It doesn't give me the whole thing here, but we'll probably go into London. Okay. So extract the information from the flight plan and fill out the table. So if we were in class, I'd make you sit down with your handy flight plan, starting at Yea, right here, 253 north, 450 west. It is a total of 244 miles. So T-dist, or total distance, is 244. Then you simply do, you just copy it. So 545 is your ground speed for that leg. 482 is your true airspeed for that leg. And we have a plus 63, which means what? Headwind or tailwind, Michaela?
Tailwind.
Yeah, so you take whatever your true airspeed is, let's pretend it's 500 knots, and you add 63 to it. That means you're moving over the ground at 563 knots, which is obviously a tailwind.
Which is exactly what you did, which is the true airspeed plus 63 is 545.
Yes, so here's what we end up with. If I make you sit down and literally copy every single line all the way from Yea to Dublin, and let me just reverse the slides and show you. For your homework, you're gonna have one of these. You're gonna have to copy from Yea to Dublin. And remember, we've already done a project where you have to remember from this point to this point, you're reading the lower line. This is just a review. You got to make sure you're reading the correct line, or else all of your data is going to be skewed. So once you get all the data entry down, you go to the very end, to the total distance at the end. And by the way, us pilots, remember the old saying, measure twice, cut once, okay? Go back and do this total distance calculation a couple times to make sure you're getting the right answer at the end. Sometimes us, as people who like to use these bad boys to calculate things, we fat finger something in. So add everything twice. That's my humble opinion if you want to get this right. You get the total distance 1805, you just do a divided by 2, and 902 is our nautical mile, where we think between whatever legs 902 falls, we think that's where our ETP will probably be. So the halfway distance, hey, look at that. It doesn't fall perfectly, does it? Halfway distance, because it's so far from yay to 53 north, 50 west, right here, 244. And each leg subsequent to that is pretty short, right? Between 607 and 962 is our midpoint mileage. So we drew a yellow line. Then I color coded it all. This is the slide where you're going to pull it up when you're doing your homework and you're going to go, all right, I drew my midpoint mileage line. Now I'm going to put everything, highlight everything beyond that. So ground speed forward is here, ground speed forward is here. This is the average ground speed forward. This is the average true airspeed forward, 481. Okay, nothing in white matters to you on a slide. I repeat, these things in white here, you could basically take a big Sharpie and X them out because you're not using those in your calculation. You will, however, use this average wind, which we've figured out is 55.5 knots plus. So when we go to our calculation, we're gonna have to make it a minus. Once again, here's our ETP formula, equals distance total times ground speed to return over ground speed to continue plus ground speed to return. Now, you may have to revisit the color-coded slide a couple times. So this is what I do. I minimize this. Here's my formula slide. And here, whoops, screwed that up. Formula slide. And then I'm actually going to make them equal. This is what I do in class while you guys are sitting there doing your homework, all right? Step 4, table calculations. See all these red numbers that I've transposed into this formula calculation? Okay. Freeze this in your memory. It's exactly how you're going to do your homework. All right, so figuring out the ETP location, once again, a concept that does elude people sometimes. Okay, I went through that real fast, but I'll show you probably a better way to do it. All you got to do is take the between Yay and Dublin, what you figured out to plot. Let me go back. I don't think I showed you the solution. The ETP itself is at 818 miles, so 818.3, and by goodness, round it down to 818, that's fine. And then you end up with 818 minus 607. Why did I do that, Michaela? Why did I go minus 607 there?
Because that was your last point before we, that was your last waypoint before the 803.
Yes, because we're going to go back and we're like, oh, there it is, 607. I'm actually trying to locate my ETP for real between 607 and 962 because 902 is maybe the midpoint mileage, but it's not our real ETP because we do have wind on this particular day. So this is where I do explain this several times and I do understand how this can get confusing. Think of yourself plotting this. Think of yourself plotting this. Imagine you are going, here's 607 into the flight plan, here's 962, and these are 2 points, right? We're flying. Okay, 607, 962. Our midpoint mileage was 902, so like there. Our actual midpoint mileage is where I made the slash. But for this ETP, which we just put together in the formula, figured out is at 818. So where's 818 along this scale? This reminds me of 3rd grade math. Actually, this is kind of funny because we got to go between 607 and 962. Where does 818 fall? So just take 818, which is where you know your ETP is actually at, and subtract 607. Hey, look at that.
211.
Beautiful. So look at that. 211. That's where you're going to plot it. This is a theoretical world where we have our plotting charts out in front of us. And then furthermore,
Double check your math.
Double check your math from this 211 point, which, you know, we're going to put our change over waypoint there and we're going to say that's 211. And then it'll be 144 further because 962 minus 818 is 144. Ding! This is where I give my little, got it? Okay.
So before your ETP, if you have something critical happen before your ETP, you're gonna turn around. If you're after your ETP, you're gonna continue. All it's saying is at that point, it is equal distance to go either way. Or it is equal time to go either way, not equal distance. Just clarifying what an ETP is.
Absolutely. So St. Anthony is back there, perfectly great place to land. If something happens right here at, say, West 35, you're going to go back to St. Anthony. If something happens, say, at West 30, you're going to go to Dublin.
If you're right on the ETP, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I've been in a really crap situation that I like to explain. Michaela, sorry, you got to listen to my lightning strike story once again, where my gut instinct told me to like turn around and run. We hit our ETP, and what you do is you acknowledge that you hit the ETP. So our equal time point in the middle of the ocean, you acknowledge it to the crew members. You say, all right, crew, we are past our ETP. If anything happens at this point, we continue to destination. And the day I was flying all the way to Lodges, it was because our ETP was designated based on fuel. I literally was not going to have enough fuel. We were going to ditch if I turned around past the ETP. So we knew that going in. And of course we passed the ETP, and 30 minutes later, we get these horrible pop-up thunderstorms all over the ocean. It's like something out of a movie. We're looking at it developing. And my dear navigator, I'll never forget Adam Shockley sitting behind me, nice guy, really smart navigator, looking in this tiny little APN 59 scope and telling me, we're gonna have to penetrate the thunderstorm, man. It's like, okay, you know, the oh shit moment where you go, I'm gonna have to penetrate a thunderstorm. I'm gonna have to go to thunderstorm penetration speed for the first time in my life, right? Like he doesn't know how to get me through the cells. We just have to go through it. So I go to thunderstorm penetration speed, which is, does anyone remember from, I think, Commercial Pilot, what speed that usually is? Remember this concept, Michaela?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah.
Is it VA?
What's that?
Is it VA, best maneuver speed?
Yes, it is. And that's,
Hey.
because, yeah, great. Is that Jake? Awesome.
Jake.
Yes.
Yeah, so maneuvering speed is based on where can your flight controls, if you're holding the yoke and you go through a thunderstorm and suddenly everything goes full to the stop, what speed are you not going to rip your wings off or your flight controls? So maneuvering speed in the C-130 was 180 knots, and I have distinct memories of thinking, holy shit, this is way too slow. I want to go much faster. But you don't want to, because if your controls go full to the stops, you're going to rip them off. So long story short, there I am, hand flying this thing, thinking, you know, I'm looking at a thunderstorm. This is broad daylight, so I see it's coming at me. And Adam's like, okay, come right, come left. He's trying to pick me through. And then we hit a particularly bad thunderstorm. And later on, I watched these videos of the C-130 whiskey people that actually like go to thunderstorms on purpose. And I'm like, you guys are insane. I was watching my wings flex and come down and flex and come down. And I'm in the straps and I'm like hanging in my head's like this high and I'm trying to hold on to the airplane. And I'm like, oh shit. And then pop, fizz, and I hear this sort of banging sound and everything goes dark. And then everything came back up. And for about a good 5 to 10 seconds, which seemed like forever, we waited for everything to come back up. Took a deep breath. All right, the engines are still operating. Everything's good. You know, I feel this weird sensation like my hairs are standing up. Has anyone ever been hit by lightning in an airplane? It's I can't imagine you would have at Riddle, but it's an interesting sensation. So Adam, immediately my navigator pipes up and says, I have no radar. And I'm like, what do you mean you have no radar? The scope was black and it had this weird scintillation in it. And later on when we landed, we realized that the lightning had actually hit the radome, which is where obviously the radar was. And it baked it all the way through. It was like black. When we got out at Lodges and we landed, There was a flap about the size of a baseball, maybe a little bigger. And
That's a basketball.
basketball, yeah, that's what I meant. I got my sports one, about yay big. Kind of lifted it up, and underneath it was this big black. We're lucky it didn't catch fire. But my point in telling you this story is that every instinct I had told me not to penetrate the thunderstorm. Like, please God, I don't want to do this. But we had passed our ETP and we had to. So like, it was a matter of life and death. It was either the thunderstorm or run out of fuel. I really hope none of you are in that situation ever in your entire lives, but this is why ETPs are like this sacred thing. If you're past the ETP, by God, honor the ETP and go divert if something happens. On that day, our destination was also our divert field because there was nowhere else to go but lodges. So I had to brave the weather, popped out of the thunderstorm, and we had some wicked crosswinds. So after getting hit by lightning and having the shock of my entire life, quite literally, I had to land in a 35-knot crosswind. So we got on the ground, we were alive, it was all good. We made the right choice on that day. So anyway, our plotting of the ETP for your project is gonna look like this. You're gonna go from, say, the midpoint mileage, you're gonna make your mark, and you're gonna figure out the ETP based on this formula. And then you're gonna have to plot it both on the chart, right there, and on your computer flight plan like this. So in class, I would say, would hand you a piece of paper with this homework on it. And I hate that this whole situation has necessitated me doing it online because it's much better in person. However, you can win at this game by printing this out, or if you're really good at PDFs, you can figure out how to convert it so you can fill in all the blanks. This is gonna be the end game. So you guys had a fictional ETP worksheet. I'm gonna make that an optional practice for you instead of for points on the project, because I just feel like, and who would agree with me, maybe this is a little bit too much for this semester. I'm looking for your faces now. Does anyone agree with me? Michaela?
Yeah.
Everybody, Lee agrees with me.
Yes.
Thank you
Way too much.
for agreeing with me. So that fictional ETP worksheet is not hereby deleted from your, right here, I'm gonna open it up, I'm gonna show you what it is. It's deleted from your requirements. Now, if you really,
Oh, this is the one I made. This is the best worksheet.
no, it's really good.
I worked so hard on that.
I know, and I will once again use it next semester when we can do this in person, but see, my gut instinct tells me, like, I know how much effort it takes me in class and out of class to sort of fully explain this one. This one right here is varsity level, folks, okay? This midpoint mileage that we have drawn for you is, the ETP's not even between those two legs.
No, it's so we messed around with that forever, trying to figure out what 2 points to start the ETP at just to make it land evenly, and it doesn't.
Yeah, and Michaela and I both fully admit, like, this right here is varsity level ETPing, all right? It's like a whole nother level. This homework assignment right here, this is about the easiest one that you'll do. And so usually right now in class, I hand it to you and I make you write from Morag to Nain each point, right? So let me show you your computer flight plan. Here you go. If you want to, at this point, pause the video, pull this up, make sure this is in front of you, and then simply take each point, Morag, okay? I have to scroll because I can't fill it in myself. So Morag to Mimku to Bilto, write these points, each named point, and then 57 north, 20 west, etc., in each of these blank spaces up here, okay? And then simply transpose all the data, make sure you're reading the right line, because you're gonna have to put in a distance, and then you're gonna have to calculate the distance all the way through. And then you get all the way to Nain at the end. Notice it ends at Nain, and it starts at Morag, or sorry, it starts at Glasgow. Yeah. So I've already given you one line so that I can ensure that you're transposing the correct data. Okay, so fill this entire thing out. Okay, at the end, you're gonna get a total distance in this column right here. You whack that in half, and when you whack it in half, wish I could demonstrate a line. You're gonna find that the line for your midpoint mileage is actually gonna be representative of where the ETP is between those two particular points. So this is an easy one. The midpoint mileage, wherever you put it, draw a big, see this marker?
Wait, hold on. Top right of your screen, see the little pin in the corner?
Where?
Yeah, down.
This?
Find the little pin. Click it.
This?
Sure.
Do that? Let's just, whoop, no, it's only
No,
gonna,
go to the pin. It's the left. It's the one to the right.
this.
Yeah.
And how do
Oh,
I, oh, look at that, it's letting me fill it in. Maybe? No. I played with this a lot
can
before.
you take the line?
I think you have to click it again because it's not. Yeah, there you go.
Oh. Oh, yes. Oh, yay, cool. I don't know
To
how.
draw a line, go to the middle and click the little line button. Middle top of the fill sign. Over middle. Go to the middle. Middle. There it is. Click it. It'll work.
Yay. How do I?
Make it bigger.
Yay. Okay, everybody. When you find the midpoint mileage, do this. Can I make it a color?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Oops. You guys play around with this. If you don't have a printer like me, I don't have a printer at my house, so I always use the one at work. When you find the midpoint mileage, simply draw yourself a big fat red or colored line in the middle. I'm gonna trash that. So once you do that line, set it up in like so. Hang on. I'm gonna go back to the lab. So once you find your midpoint mileage, you're gonna make it a chart and you're gonna color code it even better. Midpoint mileage, I have a yellow line on this slide. Everything color coded, you're gonna just copy directly off the slide. Oops, I'm so tech savvy here. Follow this template. So on your homework, your ground speed forward is gonna be color coded. I have left you extra space here. Notice how there's a blank column? Hey, that's because that's where you put your average. See? So your ground speed column will look like this. Your average will be just the forward for the ground speed and the true air speed. And then the wind will be the average to return. Do not forget, the most important mistake that people, or the most common mistake that people make is forgetting to reverse the winds. So when you go into your homework and you go, bam, wind component, see how it's -47? Each one of these lines is probably gonna be a negative, isn't it? So when you turn around and you do your formula, you need to reverse that to a positive. Okay, finally, I'm gonna make this optional for you guys who don't have a printer, the plotting part. You're gonna plot the points. So you're gonna plot the points directly around your ETP. So just one point, another point, and the ETP in the center. I feel this urge to show you the answer key on just the chart because I don't think you're gonna be able to plot that. Labs. I'm gonna show you the answer key on the chart here. So just so I don't screw up and show you the actual full answer, I'm gonna stop my share for 2 seconds. Stand by 1. Domestic flight plan, ETP. So your final answer will be, your homework will be the entire log done. And planning, where's the ETP homework? I can't find it right now. Homework old. And go. Complete. Oh. I'm pulling it up. Stand by. Trying to find my picture of the table students, table solution. No, it's not finding it. Sorry. I'll show you the optional charting when you finish it. I'll make it extra credit for you. If you can do the charting, you're smart enough to do that, you can get 5 points of extra credit. Cool. So with that, Jake, Kevin, Sean, Logan, James, Parker, whoever's with me right now, do you have any burning questions for me or Michaela?
Evo!
Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin. Burning questions while I'm still recording so that we can make sure whoever's at home watching this later can.
I'll definitely use the tutor so she can get money and I can get assistance. So with that, I don't have any questions at the moment, but I do have questions if you know what I mean or understand, but I don't know how to perceive it at first, but probably I'll hit her up. But
When you do the homework, set up an appointment with me and I'll post it and we'll do a little Zoom. And if anybody else wants to join Kevin and mine's Zoom to walk through the homework, go ahead, let me know. If you're okay with that, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to do a Zoom, a scheduled Zoom, I would recommend sort of outside my office hours because every day my office hours are going to be noon to 1. And so I'll be just sitting here lonely, crying at my desk, crying. From noon to 1 every single day I'm here. And Michaela, if you want to just send a Zoom invite for whenever you're available on class announcements, that'd be great. But what I'm going to say, I'm going to reiterate it one more time for everybody. I'll put it in an announcement. This worksheet is all I want from you for ETPs, okay? I'm going to X out a lot of the requirements out of Project 2, most notably the ETP worksheet that we gave you that I told you is kind of almost overboard if we're not there in person to help you. So I'm trying to reduce stress. Hopefully it works. Take a deep breath. I know I need a deep breath. But yeah, if there's no questions, like burning questions yet, there will be later. And we'll be here to help you, okay? Does everyone understand what's required?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So just this.
Yes.
Ideal if you can print it out because, you know, I'm stupid and I can't figure out how to.
Michelle, do you want me to go make an Excel spreadsheet that they can actually put all the stuff in and send it out?
This, you know, I don't think it's worth your effort because, hey, look, I figured it out. I can actually type, what's the next point after Morag here? It's Mimku. Let's see. Whoops. Look at that. And I can type in all the things. I think it's actually going to work just fine, just as is. I didn't realize that this was even an editable worksheet, but apparently it is. So how did I do that? Fill and sign?
I told you to press the button, the pen button.
Okay, the pen button, guys. The pen button is how you fill this in. Or as an alternative, get it printed out somewhere and just freehand it in. At the end of the day, what I really want you to understand is how to calculate the ETP with the formula and how to fill out this worksheet properly. The plotting is sort of secondary at this point because usually we have to do that hands-on in class. But yeah, get yourself to the point where you fully understand that formula and you can fill this out and we are set. Okay? I'm gonna stop my share now. Questions? Comments? Great. What was that? Sean.
That wasn't me. Oh, I see Omar on my screen. But I had a question about, we're submitting this through Canvas, right?
Yes, you're gonna have to do a Canvas upload for the ETP homework. And yes, I'm gonna have to set it up for you. My command decision to not make you do the advanced one, that pretty much happened this morning. I sat down and I looked at this lecture and I was like,
We talked about it and she's like, don't even try. We're not even gonna try. Let's just, I can't do it.
well, you like Michaela, you understand this. Usually after this lesson, we spend a good, week with student coming in, getting help hands-on with it. And that's just not truly possible at this moment. So, you know, sometimes you just got to cut your losses and do what you can. So you guys really do get it easy this semester. try to grasp how
I don't know if they get it easy.
yeah, that's true. It's like it's harder. The level of difficulty even doing this is higher, and so I'm going to cut out hours of work for all of us. I
Thank
hope
you.
all approve of that.
Thank you.
Laura approves of that. Logan approves. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop my recording now and post these videos. And then remember, 12 p.m. every single day till 1 p.m. I'm just sitting here all lonely. It's usually just 2 people just chatting with me. So get some ETP help. And then Michaela is also going to post her Zooms. And we'll do everything we possibly can to help you.
And
Alright.
if there's a time that y'all want that's not in Michelle's office hours, I'm free, not in the mornings, but in the evenings, like, or the weekend, whatever. I'm quarantined too, so just let me know what time works for y'all, and I'll try and post.
Okay. All right.